off the meeting.
All right, we are live. Mayor Billing.
Thank you. I would like to call to order the March 9th meeting of the Norwalk Common Council. If you'll please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Ms. King, if you'll please read the announcement and call the roll.
This meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast. We ask everyone to speak clearly one at a time, and please state your name when called upon by the presiding chair. Members of the public can access this meeting by telephone, Zoom, or the City of Norwalk YouTube channel. There is a link with specific instructions on the agenda. Mr. Burnett.
Present.
Ms. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Langella.
Present.
Mr. Sacchinelli.
Present.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Huvelman.
Present.
Mr. Roberts.
Present.
Ms. Ravulis.
Here.
Ms. Young.
Here.
Mr. Kites.
Here.
Mr. Theodorides. Mr. Keegan.
Here.
Mr. Sirenides.
Here.
Mr. Livingston.
Here.
Ms. Shanahan.
Here.
Mr. Theodorides. Not here? Okay. 14 present, you have a quorum.
You're on mute, Mr. Mayor.
Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes for the regular meeting of February 23rd, 2021. Do I have a motion? Ms. Shanahan moves. Any corrections, deletions, omissions? And Ms. Shanahan? Yes.
I have a couple of things, Mayor. On the very first line, at the very first page, we're right under Council President. I think that Mr. Sacchinelli has some changes he's forwarded in, we talked about. But also on the first page, the word budget is misspelt, the first sentence. And then under Council President, Mr. Sacchinelli will read his materials that we talked about last night. And then I have a change for on page 12, paragraph 7. Should I just send it to Ms. King or should I read the paragraph? I'll read the paragraph.
Yes.
Ms. Shanahan said she supported Mr. Kites' amendment. She said that in no way did she think this reduction is being punitive or directed at the Board of Education. She said that we are all paying taxes, that this has been an extraordinarily difficult year for everyone. She said that she was comfortable with this reduction due to the possibility of federal stimulus funds and because there is a leftover surplus in the BOE budget at this year end. She added that there's an ability to do a special appropriation later in the fiscal year if the Board of Education needs funding. That was the changes to on page 12, paragraph 7.
Well, paragraph 7. Any other corrections or changes, Ms. Shanahan?
Mr. Hoovelman mentioned last night he had some.
Mr. Hoovelman?
Yes, I have a change also on page 12, paragraph 4. It starts, Mr. Huvelman said that everyone, and I sent this change in already, but I will read it now. It should say, Mr. Huvelman said that we are all experiencing a fatigue that has the ability to drive us to distraction and take our eyes off the real horizon. I've been troubled by some of the rhetoric that has been levied during the budget season and saddened by the lack of fundamental understanding that we are all on the same side, the side that only wants what is best for the city of Norwalk. And I have already submitted that change as well.
Thank you, Mr. Hoovelman. Any further changes that you want to recommend?
No, that was it.
Thank you.
Those
Thank you.
changes will be sent to the secretary.
Mr. Sacchinelli, did you have a change?
Yeah, just the president's remarks. My change is rather lengthy, so I will send that in.
Thank you. And Ms. Smith.
One very minor change on page 12. At the end of the first paragraph, last sentence, she said that to just meet the contractual obligations will be 2.7%, not 2.6.
Okay. Okay, so any further corrections, deletions, changes? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes as corrected? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public participation. Mr. Manzi, do we have anybody wishing to address the council?
We do not.
Ms. King, do you have anything that you wish to submit?
Nothing here, Mayor.
And does any council person have any correspondence they feel should be read into the record? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the resignations and appointments. First item, 2 appointments, so we can move them both together. The Arts Commission, Ms. Jolie Loon and Stephen Rust. Do I have a motion? Ms. Johnson moves.
Thank you, Mayor. I am pleased to move these 2 appointments to the Arts Commission. Jolie Lung has a wonderful background in both landscape design as well as data visualization, some emerging fields in the arts, and most notably for us, has been very active in the Norwalk community. And I've enjoyed speaking about public art and how it builds community with her. I know if anybody enjoys that beautiful rose garden on the green, we have her to thank as well for that. And as well, I've had a chance to speak with Stephen Rust, who is very active in the arts economy here in Norwalk as a theater consultant, working with theater projects, also has been very active in our performing arts venues. And I think will bring a lot of perspective to the commission through that work. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comments? Mr. Roberts.
I want to say thank you both. I sit on the Arts Commission, so I can't wait to work with you guys.
Further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. We have Mr. Rust and Ms. Loong here. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve and congratulations. The city clerk will make arrangements to administer your oath of office. So she'll be in touch with both of you. And again, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, Fair Rent Commission appointment, Mr. Dan Darbandi. Do I have a motion? Mr. Langella.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to nominate Dan Darbandi to the Fair Rent Commission. Mr. Darbandi has a strong professional background in project management and a master's in public service. However, I'd love to speak to Mr. Darbandi's recent work in the Norwalk community, notably with the biweekly food collection and distribution program. Having served myself on Fair Rent, this committee has a special place in my heart, and it's very clear he has a passion for affordable housing. There's not a doubt in my mind that he will combine his extensive professional experience, academic history, as well as his drive for community to the Fair Rent Commission. And I am honored to and look forward to his contributions and to nominate him tonight. So thank you, Mr. Darbandi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Langella. Do we have any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. I also see that Mr. Darbandi is here. Thank you, sir, for joining us, Dan. The city clerk will be in touch with you in order to administer your oath of office. And again, thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
And then we have one reappointment. Yes, thank you. Congratulations. We have one reappointment, Elizabeth Golden to the Historical Commission. Do I have a motion? Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm honored to move the reappointment of Elizabeth Golden to the Historical Commission. Liz has a background in business, nonprofit organizations, and is very active and involved in our community. She's an active and influential member of District D and a member of the volunteer teams. We know how important that is to have volunteers helping Norwalk citizens receive the vaccine. We're extremely fortunate to have Liz on the Historical Commission, and I'd like to further bring her nomination forward for reappointment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Ms. Johnson.
I just want to say how wonderful it's been getting to know Elizabeth Golden, working with Liz in District D on community work, and I'm so happy to see her reappointed. And just to second Council Member Burnett. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you. Any further comment or discussion? I have to say that Lucia's in the room and she heard and she's giving a thumbs up too. So
I was clapping. I was clapping.
all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for your willingness to serve again. And we give you a clap. Thank you so much. And the city clerk will arrange to have you re-administered your oath of office. Next item on the agenda, just mayor's comments. Just a few comments. First of all, you probably have seen that this morning we held a vaccine clinic at Grace Baptist Church. I really want to thank Reverend Curtis for opening up his doors to help us. The purpose of the vaccine clinic was to encourage our communities of color to consider getting a vaccine and to provide information so that they can make an informed decision. As we know, the communities of color are the most vulnerable communities. Our Black and brown residents are severely affected by the COVID-19, and we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to get all the information that they can. They are, as I said, severely underrepresented in vaccine administration right now, and we want to change that. So we had this clinic this morning. We vaccinated over 100 people who came out, and it was really a really good day. And the weather was beautiful, by the way. And I want to have a personal thanks to Reverend Curtis and Reverend Dr. Richard Clark. Next week, we will be doing a vaccine clinic at Bethel AME Church to continue our efforts. I also want to thank Councilwoman Young and Councilman Burnett for being there today. They've been at the vaccine clinics volunteering their time. They've been at the food clinics volunteering their time, or food distribution. And I want to give a personal acknowledgement to that as well. With the food clinic, remember, tomorrow morning, we're going to be at Calf Pasture Beach for another food distribution. Food insecurity is still very much a problem here in the city of Norwalk, the Gold Coast of Fairfield County, and with a lot of people losing their positions, having struggles. These food distributions are really, really very important. Now, next week, March 20th, and I want to thank the Norwalk Public Schools. They're opening up Brian McMahon High School for a vaccine clinic, and we are planning on vaccinating at least 1,000 people. So that will be our biggest to date. So far, we're probably in the area of 5,000 vaccinations here in the city of Norwalk. We administer every dose that we get. We can only administer the doses that we do get. So, the health department is right on top of things. And thank you to all our volunteers. We're doing clinics for teachers, other first responders, essential employees who are on the front lines and who have been on the front lines from the very beginning of this pandemic. They're the unsung heroes of this whole pandemic, and we really want to recognize and thank them as well. Last but not least, you know that we are in the budget season. Yesterday, I worked on the capital budget that I'll be submitting to the Common Council very shortly relative to the recommendations by the Planning Commission and other things that I've added or changed a little bit, but we'll be presenting that to the Common Council for your review and consideration. With the operating budget, we are in the process of going through department reviews, and we're doing all our due diligence to make sure that we come in at or under the cap set forth by the Common Council. I had given the charge to all department heads to reduce their recommended budget that was recommended by the CFO, their recommended budget by 0.5%, which calculates to $5,000 for each $1 million of their budget. I'm pleased to say that many of these department heads are coming in with reductions that are even greater than that. They recognize the challenges put before us. They recognize the difficulties for our taxpayers, and they're doing everything they can to reduce their budget by as much as they can. They're being honest and not fudging their budget. They're not. They're taking money where they feel that they can take money, and it's a tribute and a credit to them as individual managers. So I want to thank them. That's all that I have, and I want to now turn it over to the Council President, Mr. Sachinelli.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, the consent calendar is going to be read by Ms. Darlene Young. Ms. Young, over to you. Oh, you're muted.
Okay,
Gotcha.
okay, so the consent calendar. So we have 6A, Corporation Council. 6A1, authorization for discussion settlement of Savannah Thompson versus City of Norwalk, Kerma claim number A04823. Authorization for discussion, 6A2, authorization for discussion settlement Joseph Morrow versus City of Norwalk, Kerma claim number 065935. 7A, Health and Public Safety Committee. 7A1, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute any and all documents necessary to apply for and accept grant funds from Ledge Light Health District in the amount of $51,580 per fiscal year for the period beginning July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2024 for public health emergency preparedness. 7A1B, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute any and all agreements, documents, instruments, or amendments as may be necessary to implement the public health emergency preparedness grant for the period beginning July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2024. 7B, Public Works Committee. 7B1, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into a subordination agreement with Head of the Harbor South LLC for terms of the Memorandum of Assistant Corporation Counsel Darren Callahan dated February 26, 2020. 7B2, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute First Amendment to an agreement between the City of Norwalk and Van Ness Hangen Bruslin Inc. VHB for the design of adaptive traffic signals on West Avenue for amount not to exceed $7,000. Account numbers noted. Okay, 7B4, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute the first supplemental project authorization letter for state project number 102-350 Norwalk River Valley Trail, Phase 2. 7B5, adopt a resolution to authorize the Department of Transportation, Mobility and Parking to apply for funding under the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program grant funding for the city or its designees to construct, own, operate, and maintain all traffic signal equipment and appurtenances. I can say that word. Appurtenances installed as part of proposed Project Norwalk Traffic Signal Upgrade Phase 5. In addition, the city will provide up to 20% of the total project cost as matching funds from approved capital funds for traffic signal replacement. 7C1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute separate master services agreement with WSP USA and AKRF for on-call professional consulting services to be performed on an as-needed basis related to peer traffic review. Scope of work will be performed pursuant to individual letters of agreement detailing the scope of work for each project. Services will be paid for by individual applicants with the department. 7C2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute separate master services agreement with DeCarlo and Dahl BFJ Planning and Andriopoulos Design Associates for on-call professional consulting services to be performed on an as-needed basis related to peer architectural planning review. The scope of work will be performed pursuant to individual letters of agreement detailing the scope of work for each project. Services will be paid for by individual applicants with the department. 7C3, authorize the Director of Planning and Zoning to execute the letters of agreement for both traffic peer review services and architectural/planning peer review services for individual projects on an as-needed basis to authorize the work to be done. 7D1A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Integrated System Services LLC for the enhancement to school security access control improvements at Brian McMahon High School and Norwalk High School project for a total not to exceed $58,001. Account numbers noted. 7D1B, authorize the Norwalk Public School Facilities Department to issue change orders on contract for a total not to exceed $5,800. Account number noted. 7D2, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Special Testing Laboratories, Inc. for materials testing and field inspection services for the Jefferson Elementary School renovated as new project for a total not to exceed $60,000. Account number noted. 7D3A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Universal Building Services LLC for City Hall Air Handler Unit Number 3 refurbishment project for a total not to exceed $78,850. Account numbers noted. 7D3B, authorize the Office of Building Management to issue change orders on the contract for a total not to exceed $7,885. It for the consent calendar.
Thank you. I will proceed with a roll call vote. Mr. Greg Burnett,
Aye.
Ms. Dominique Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Manny Langella,
Aye.
Nick Sacinelli, aye. Ms. Barbara Smith,
Yes.
Mr. David Huvelman,
Aye.
Mr. Kadeem Roberts,
Aye.
Ms. Diana Revelous. I think that was an aye. I didn't look up. I see it. Miss Darlene Young,
Yes.
Mr. John Kites,
Yes.
Mr. George Theorides is absent. Mr. Thomas Keegan,
Yes.
Mr. George Serenides,
Yes.
Mr. Tom Livingston,
Yes.
Miss Lisa Shanahan. All right, it's unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Sacinelli. So the item to come before the council, item 7B3, Mr. Serenides.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move item 7B3 and just make a quick comment on it.
Yes.
7B3, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement between the city of Norwalk and Fitzgerald and Halliday, Inc. for the Norwalk Transportation Management Plan for an amount not to exceed $300,000, account noted. This plan is intended to provide direction for the city and templates for transportation design, resources, and safety. The Transportation Management Plan provides framework for multi-model elements and progressive design practices. This plan is essentially changing a current 10-year plan. We also have with us tonight, Ms. Jessica Casey. I'm sorry, Jessica, I was gonna try to say your new last name. I even practiced before. Jessica Casey, Mike Yosak, and Anthony Carr. They can elaborate a little further and answer any questions anyone may have.
Thank you. Ms. Bonashek?
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. It's really a great time to be speaking with you about the Transportation Master Plan. We are looking for you to approve $300,000 for that plan. The last plan was done in 2012. And, I say it's good timing to think about the Transportation Master Plan because as we know, in December 2019, the Plan for Conservation and Development was signed. And I think that that plan really speaks to the importance of mobility and the importance of transportation when it comes to safety of our roads and being able to share our roads in an equitable way. So I know that we care as a city about mobility, we care about biking and walking and really making sure that those intersections are safe. It's a really important year for us moving forward because we're thinking about complete streets policy, but we're also thinking about Vision Zero policy as well. And so I think that, again, it's a really great time to be thinking about the Transportation Master Plan. We interviewed 4 really great companies that were all very capable of being able to move forward with something like this. But we did choose FHI in the long run, and we did that because we all unanimously agreed as a panel that they were the best group to work with for us to be working with them. And I think, what really stood out with that particular group is that they will be working really closely with the public, really closely with the community. They have a great set of technical skills. And they really showed that they are thinking creatively about how to share the road and creatively about how to create intersections that are safe. And I know that we've had a number of different topics come up over the last number of months on development. We've also had conversations come up on neighborhood, helping connectivity and helping mobility. And we really feel like FHI is the company for us to be working with at this important time. So a really great year ahead, and we're really looking forward to setting the stage with the Transportation Master Plan.
Thank you, Ms. Bonashek. Mr. Carr or Mr. Yosak, do you have anything to add? And then Mr. Livingston, I know you want to ask a question.
Actually, I was like a comment, not question.
Okay, Mr. Livingston.
Yeah, I was just going to echo some of Jessica's comments. I mean, as we've heard, this replaces the 2012 master plan. And of course, a lot has changed, both in our city and our approach to the use and planning of our transportation resources since then. So I think it's a highly appropriate time to be looking at this. And as Jessica said, in context of the POCD, there's a whole new approach to the way we do things. And among other things, the new plan will look at, and this thing is something I really liked, they'll look at to see where bicyclists and pedestrians, in their words, are underserved or not served at all by our existing infrastructure. And Vision Zero principles, as Jessica said, will permeate all aspects of the master plan. So I think what's really interesting and great about this is the change in approach from what was a very much of a car-centric approach to a multimodality approach. So I really look forward to the new plan and its conclusions and recommendations, and I fully support its passage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Any further comments or discussion? Any questions? Okay, seeing none, Ms. King, would you have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Burnett,
Aye.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Langella,
Aye.
Mr. Sacchinelli,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Huvelman,
Aye.
Mr. Roberts,
Aye.
Ms. Revolis,
That was an aye.
really? Okay. Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Kides, Mr. Kides,
Yes.
Mr. Keegan,
Yes.
Mr. Serenides,
Yes.
Mr. Livingston,
Yes.
Ms. Shanahan,
Yes.
14 yes. It's unanimous, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing the results of that plan and making our city safe for motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians, and making really a great place to navigate. So again, thank you, Ms. Vanacek, and your team, and
Thank
Mr.
you.
Carr and Mr. Yosak. There's no other items to come before the council. So I'm just waiting for a motion. Ms. Shanahan?
I beat you, Lisa.
Motion to adjourn. I beat George again.
I'm out open, ready to say it.
Yeah, I hear you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Again, thank you to all the council members, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Aye.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Take care. Have a nice night. Stay